This is gonna be fun. You owe us. Is this the first one ever done? Stop or don't. Ooh. Music cut out.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our tour of a Missouri dairy farm. Our tour today is brought to you by Midwest Dairy, the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, Missouri Farmers Care, Missouri Ag in the Classroom, University of Missouri Extension, and Discover Dairy. So my name's Amanda, and I work at Midwest Dairy working on behalf of the 5,800 dairy farms across the Midwest. Here in Missouri, there are about 500 dairy farms. I am thrilled to be joined by dairy farmers Mark and Jonna Fellwock, who are ready to take us on a tour of their farm, Fellwock Dairy in Monette, Missouri. So before we start, I want to encourage questions and comments during our tour. So for those of you that are watching through Zoom, you can type your questions and comments in the question and answer box on the bottom of your screen. And for those watching via YouTube, you can type your questions in the live chat box. We are going to try to answer as many questions today as we can during our tour. And then to get us started, if everyone wants to type in the chat box now where you're from, you can start with that so we can practice. Finally, before we start, I just want to mention that the internet connectivity is not always great on a dairy farm. So we do have some videos that are going to be shown throughout our tour that our farmers will be talking through with us to explain. So let's get started. Did you guys know that 95% of dairy farms in the US are family owned and operated? This is true about Fellwock Dairy. Good morning, Mark and Jonna. How are you today?
Good morning.
Good
Doing
morning.
great.
Good. Could you tell us a little bit about the history of your farm?
So this is a family farm, fourth generation on the farm. We are a third generation dairy. We're currently milking about 300 cows. We farm about 800 acres. We raise most of our, all of our own forage, corn, wheat, rye, and some alfalfa. We farm along with our kids. We have 4 children that help us here on the farm every day. Bailey is our oldest, Hayden, Riley, and Hudson. We enjoy having them with us here every day, helping and doing all the chores. I guess the other thing, we just love being out here on the farm, milking cows and doing the field work.
Great. That's awesome that your farm is a 3rd generation farm and your kids get to work alongside you day to day. So that's really, really neat. So I was thinking next we could transition maybe to your baby calves that you have at your farm. And I think that you're going to show us a brand new calf today.
Yeah, we got up this morning and went out to the field, and there he was. He was born sometime during the night. This is a Holstein Jersey cross. It's laying down here sleeping. It's wore out from getting it in earlier. This is just temporary place. We set it this morning so you guys could all see it. We'll be showing some video of them out in their huts where they live for the first couple of months of their life. Yeah, this little guy, he was up and running around with his mom this morning, and we got her in and milked her. And here in a little bit, we're going to be feeding it its mama's colostrum, which is what they need to get a good, healthy start. And then we'll continue it, raising it on milk.
Great. It looks like he's a little tired this morning.
Yep, he's wore out. He's had a big morning.
He's had a big morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you take care of your calves on your farm? I know that you just put the baby calf up here in the front of your farm right now just to show us, but we're going to have some video go and show like kind of the hutches. And can you explain kind of the process of taking care of them?
Yeah, so the video I think you're watching right now is the other day we had a baby calf that it's where we're getting it in and we're getting ready to put it into its hut where like I said, it's going to live for 6 to 7 weeks, where we feed it twice a day, every morning and every night. It gets they start out with 1 bottle or 4 quarts of milk in the morning and 4 quarts of milk at night. When they get about 2 weeks old, they get 2 bottles every morning and 2 bottles every night. And there's Bailey getting ready to fill the bottles to take them out to the calves. We provide fresh water in buckets and fresh grain every day, and they get a great start. Like I said, they live there for 6 to 7 weeks, and then they'll get weaned out of the huts and move out to group pens where they can start getting to know each other and start learning how to eat with others around out of the bunks. And then when they're good with that, then they move on out to different pastures where we continue to raise them up to get them to breeding age.
Great. We have a question that came in from Miss Lagoni's class, and they asked, can the baby calf get up and walk right away when it's first born?
Yeah, so as soon as they're born, the mama will get up and get them licked off, get them all cleaned up, and usually within 10 to 15 minutes, they start thrashing around, trying to get their senses, and sometime around a half an hour or so, they're up and walking. Most calves will usually try to go and start nursing on their mom out in the field. And we usually allow them that time to get up and to go and let the mom have some time with them and get them started and let the calf get nursing on its mom before we bring them in and as you can see, start the process of feeding them bottles, because our cows typically give 8 to 10 gallons of milk every day. So it's way too much milk for one baby to nurse or to drink. So, and that's how come you all get to go to go to the store or get to sit down at your kitchen table and have a nice cold glass of milk to drink. So we give a little bit to the calves, and then we all get to enjoy the rest.
Yes, it's very important, it seems, to take care of really good care of your calves, because that's the first stage of their life where they're starting out. So it's important to make sure that they get the best nutrition.
Best nutrition and the best start, because it's our future. How well we take care of these babies and what we feed them and how well we take care of them depends on how they grow and what kind of cows they're down in 2 years or when they calve and that we start milking them. So the better care we can give them, the better they will treat us down the road.
Right. We have another question that came in. How much does a baby calf weigh when it's birthed?
Yeah, so this little guy here, he's probably going to weigh about 80 pounds. Your bigger Holstein breeds, a calf can weigh anywhere from 80 to 100 pounds. Jerseys are a little smaller. Heifers are, of course, always a little smaller than the bulls. It's typically, but jerseys will weigh anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds is kind of normal for them.
A little bit bigger than when our human babies are born.
Yeah, little difference.
I don't know if you mentioned this, but I'll ask again. How many times a day are you feeding the calves? Do they have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Nope. They get fed morning and evening. We feed about 6 to 7 in the morning. You can call that their breakfast, and then we feed again about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. But like I said, they do have fresh water and fresh grain available to them at all times, to where if they do get thirsty or hungry during the day, they can drink water or they can start eating some grain.
Great. So we do have another question from Miss Britt's class, and they want to know what the numbers mean on the cow's ears.
Well, just like all you kids probably have a name. That's how we identify the cows. It's just simply we have a record system, PC Dart. We enter every cow into the computer, so we can keep track of her. As you imagine, keeping track of 300 cows just by looks would be pretty difficult. So we do put a tag in their ear, just so we can identify them and keep good records of when they calve and if they need bread and when they need to go dry. So I just said when they go dry. So when a adult cow gets to about 7 months pregnant, we give her a break. We let her go dry, where we don't milk her till she has her next baby, which is typically around 2 months. A cow has the same as humans. They're bred or pregnant for 9 months, and then they'll have their baby, and then they'll come back into the milking herd. But that's what the dry period is where they just get to have some free time and just lay out in the pasture and just take a break from getting milked every day.
Well, that sounds pretty nice.
I guess you call it their vacation time.
Yes. We had another question, I think from Miss Mendes' class. How many calves are born per month? And then we had another question from another class that wants to know how many per year. So whichever one's easier.
So here on our farm, we're milking around 300. So we try to calve. So the cow will have a calf about every 13 to 14 months. So they have their baby. We give them they get used to getting milked again. They get healed up from that, and then get to feeling better. And then we get them bred again, usually around 90 days after they have their baby. And then so they calve in between 13 and 14 months. So we have 300 calves there. And then we have usually around 100 to 150 heifers have their first babies. So we're here on our farm, we're having between 400 to 450 babies per year, or a little over one a day on average. Some days, a couple months ago, we had 11 on one day.
Wow.
Which that was a crazy morning. Getting all the babies in and getting all the heifers and the cows milked. So it can get kind of chaotic, but this is what we like, where we just have one. We can bring it in, and everybody gets to love on it for a little bit, and get it fed and get it going.
That's a lot of births, a lot of baby announcements, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I just want to ask a couple more. It sounds like we have a twin as one of our participants, and they want to know, can cows have twin babies?
Oh, it's just like humans. If a mom has a set of twins, she has a higher percentage of her next time having twins. But absolutely, every once in a while, it's rare, but cows can have triplets too. Um, there's a few of them out there. It's a really cool thing. We've never had one here at this farm though.
Wow. That's awesome. One more question, because we already mentioned that the cows have ear tags and what those are for, but someone wanted to know if those tags hurt the cow's ears or the baby calf's ears. Does it hurt them?
No, it's just you could compare it to girls going and getting their ears pierced. It maybe stings a little bit, but we administer it in a way that it's not painful for the baby calf or the cow.
And if we have our ears pierced, we know it's just like a really, really quick prick and then it's over with. So
Yep.
okay, so we'll transition now, I think, to the feeding area. Thanks so much for sharing about the calves. I know that the calves are one of my favorite areas. They're just so cute and so much to learn about them. But I want to talk about the next stage. And you mentioned the calves are the future of your farm. So let's talk about the cows, which are the ladies that produce our milk and some of our favorite dairy products. Can you share a little bit about how you take care of the cows and what they eat and things like that?
Sure. So we have an open lot. The cows, after they get done eating, which is this is their feeding floor. This is where we're unloading all their feed. We mix everything, and it's called a TMR. It's just a big machine that takes hay bales and silage and whatever we are feeding them at that time, and it just grinds it up. So like I said, right there, my son is delivering it to the cows, which right now they're in the barn getting milked. And I think here in a minute, there's going to be a video of some of them eating, but there they are. Which, like I said, this feed consists of rye and corn silage and wet brewer's grain. There's corn in there, soybean meal, and a whole lot of vitamins and minerals we give them just to help keep them good and healthy and keep them a lot of energy so they can stay producing milk and just keep them nice and healthy.
And do you have a vet that helps determine what they eat, or do you just put whatever you feel like that day?
Oh no, he was in fact just here. He's our nutritionist. He comes in here once every 2 weeks and he looks at our cows, and he actually formulates the ration that we feed them. He takes all the data from what the nutrients in the feeds are, and he puts it into a program, and it tells them how much of which commodity we need to be feeding. And right now, each girl or each cow is eating about 100 pounds of feed a day. So could you imagine eating 100 pounds of feed a day? That's a lot of feed.
That's a lot of feed.
So we're delivering each feed. We're actually putting about 16,000 of feed there, or 32,000 pounds a day, which seems like a lot, but they love it. And it, like I said, it grinds it all up, mixes it all up really good, and every bite's about the same. And there, as you're watching the video, those big things hanging above the cows are fans. One of the most important things that we can do for that cow is to keep her comfortable. So in the summertime, when it's hot,
Mark, I
flowed
think you
off
cut
of
out.
them. Uh-oh.
Okay,
Can
I
you
think
hear
you're
me?
back. Yes, but you're
Okay.
sideways. So if we can just turn you back over right side
Okay. Um,
and maybe just repeat the last couple things you said because we didn't get to catch
yeah,
that.
I was talking about the fans and how they cool the cows. They keep the cows cool in the summertime because cows get hot just like what we do, and they can't sweat. So um, like what we can to help cool us off. So we have to put air on them, and just to help keep them cool, because cow comfort's the biggest thing we can do for them is keeping them comfortable so that they don't get too hot.
Right. Those are some really big fans. It looks like it can cool off a lot of the cows at a time while
Oh
they're all
yeah,
underneath there.
they're neat. They can blow a lot of air around, and it just keeps them nice and comfortable.
Probably need them now because I know at least where I'm from, we're going to have 80-degree weather today. So those fans will come in handy.
Yep, they're on, and they're blowing right now.
So it seems like they're very comfortable. They live a comfortable life.
Yeah, as you can see, they're nosy. They love anything new. They love to try to figure out what it is and what's going on.
So we're looking at that feed, kind of a close up that we just saw, the TMR. Holly wants to know, where do you get that feed for the cows?
Well, like I said earlier, we have 800 acres that we farm. In fact, that's what I was doing yesterday. I was baling some rye hay. And then today I'm getting ready to go out and bale some more. So we raise all our own forage. So we just, whatever we've been planting corn here the last few days, getting it in the grounds that we'll harvest here sometime around August. A big chopping machine will come in and chop it, and we'll put it on I think that overhead view showed a big silage pile in the back that was covered. That was the corn silage that we feed them. Here's a picture of, I got this bucket of the feed a while ago of it all mixed up. Like I said, all their goodies are in there. The corn and the soybeans and the wet brewer's grain and distillers. There's just a whole bunch of different commodities, and then this long stuff is the hay. That's actually some Sudan hay chopped up, and this is what the rye looks like, all chopped up. It's just they love it. The more chopped up we can get it, the finer. The better they like it.
The easier they can
And
chew it, probably.
yeah, and it smells so good. You almost want to take a bite of it ourselves, but we'll leave it for the cows because it has a really sweet smell to it.
Wow. Brittany White wants to know, how do you keep the cows warm when it's winter?
Well, that's a cool thing about cows. They do a wonderful job of they put an extra hair coat on in the fall. A cow can, if you can keep her dry and keep her some fresh bedding, she can make it through the cold weather just fine. The cow, they're pretty amazing creatures. They do struggle more with heat. I mean, that's why we have the fans and stuff, and to keep them cool. And we have misters in our barn that we can mist them down in the summertime. That keeps them cool. But as far as being cold, as long as you give them a little dry straw to lay on, they can take the cold.
Got it. Before we transition to the next part, Miss Kiss has a question from her class, and they want to know how long cows live on average. Like, what is the lifespan?
On our farm, we try to keep them healthy to where I say our average age is 8 to 10 years. Give you a little lesson on them. A heifer will calve in for her and have her first baby right around 2 years of age, and then like I said, we shoot for her to have a calf every 13 to 14 months. So, we try to milk them for 4 to 5 lactations, which gets them up to around that 8 years of age. I will tell you, we had a Jersey cow here on the farm her name was Nosy. She could get any gate open and get out, it seemed like. But she lived to be 23 years old. We lost track. We think she had somewhere around 18 babies.
Wow, that's a lot of
she was a
babies.
pet. She was our pet. We loved her. She actually stayed here on the farm till the end. And she had a special place here on the farm because she was just one of those cows that we just fell in love with, and she just stayed around here forever.
Sounds like they become a part of your family. It's
Well,
like another child.
They almost are. I mean, we treat each and every one of them like they're that they mean the world to us. And like I said, the better care we can give them, the better care they'll take care of us.
Great. Well, we have a lot of questions coming in, but we need to transition to the milking parlor. So we want to show people like where their milk comes from. So do you want to tell us about like your milking parlor? What is the milking parlor? What happens in there? How did the cows actually get milked?
Okay. About 3 years ago, we started in on a new project. We built a new milking parlor. As you can see here, the cows are coming in, loading up. We milk them from behind. This parlor is called a rapid exit parallel. Here's where I sprayed a solution on the cow's teat ends to kill all the bacteria, and then we wipe all that off, get her good and clean, so there's no bacteria, no germs. Which that spray is, you can call it like a soap, like you use on your hands to kill all the germs. And then we apply the milking machine. It's got a vacuum on it that when she lets her milk down, you can see down here in the bowl at the bottom, you can see all the milk coming out of her. There's just enough vacuum to pull the milk, help her release the milk and put it into the machine, but it doesn't hurt her at all. They don't mind it at all. They stand there, and she'll give 4 to 5 gallons per milking in 3 to 3.5 minutes. That's how long that machine will stay on her per milking, is somewhere around 3 minutes.
So it really doesn't take that long for you to get those 4 to 5 gallons, like you said, per cow.
No, it's very quick. And like I said, our parlor consists of 12 on a side, so we milk 24 cows at a time. We can average about 100 cows per hour, which, all parlors across the country are different. You have some that only milk 3 cows at a time to some that milk 120 at a time. Here's where they're exiting. Their headlocks, they raise up real fast and they all shoot forward, walking out of the barn, and then we're spraying where they stood. We're spraying it down, just trying to keep it as clean and as we can, just so we can keep the milk nice and clean. And then they'll be ready for the next group to come in.
Miss Hansen's class wants to know, how do the cows know where to go and like when they need to be milked? Like when do they need to go? How do they know to go to the milking parlor at the certain times that you milk?
We gather them up. So during the day, for instance, they'll be laying out in the pasture, and then we'll go and get them as soon as we feed them. We'll go and get them and bring them home. And it's just a routine for them. They're ready to be milked. I mean, they're wanting to come in the barn to get the milk out of them, because they know when they're done milking, they get to go back out and eat that yummy feed that we fed them. And it's just, heifers, we have to train them, but these older cows, they just know it when it's milking time every morning, every night.
They're ready to go, it sounds like.
They're ready to go. When that udder gets full of milk, it gets painful for them. They want to give us that milk, so their udders aren't tight and full and hurting.
So the milking sounds like it provides a little bit of relief to them then, because they get the milk out as it was designed to do.
Correct. Yes.
So we have a question about the different breeds of cows. Do they produce different tasting milk?
So the different breeds, Holsteins, Jerseys, I mean, there's 6 or 7 different main breeds, but Holsteins and Jerseys are primarily what we have here. Holsteins were bred to give the most milk, but they don't give very much butterfat or cream, to where Jerseys don't give quite as much milk, but they give a lot more butterfat or cream. And that's why we have a mixture of both, is because we like to make a lot of milk, but we also like to have the fat, or the cream. We call it butterfat. But the cool thing with our milk right now, when our milk leaves the farm here, some of our milk goes to the processing plant and they take all the fat and the cream off of it, and it goes on to another plant where they produce it and make it into butter for Chipotle's fast food restaurant. So if you ever eat at one of those fast food place, Chipotle's, if you eat the butter, or if they've cooked with the butter, you could be consuming our milk. So that's why we have the two different breeds here on the farm, trying to get the best of both worlds. But as far as tasting different, the taste will come from what we feed them. I mean, if they're sometimes years ago when I'm beeping.
We can still hear you. Mark, are you there? We're just going to get connected back to Mark and Jana real quick. As I mentioned before, connectivity can be really tricky on dairy farms. When you're in a big rural community, the internet service isn't always the best.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you again. Can you hear us, Mark and Jana?
Can you hear?
I can't.
I can.
Okay, are we back?
Yes, you're back.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's just a little bit of an echo if you guys want to step away from each other potentially.
Okay. Hear me now?
Yes. Mark, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we have another question that came in before we move on to the next. But do certain cows make chocolate milk? That came from Miss Barnett's class.
No, cows, that's funny. No cow gives chocolate milk. All milk is white. Now, when it goes to the processing plant, that's where they'll take our milk and they'll add chocolate or cocoa or whatever that plant says to make the chocolate milk. But no, all milk coming out of the cows is white.
Okay. So let's transition to if you have a sick cow. So I know we have some footage, and if you have a sick cow, do we drink their milk? What do you do to take care of those sick cows? Oh, Mark, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can. Yep, got you now.
So if you're watching the video, you see us milking a cow in a pail where she's all marked up, and we focused on her foot there first. She got an injury or an abscess, and we had to give this cow a shot of antibiotics to help her get over it. So what I wanted to show you guys here is that we still have to milk that cow, even though she has antibiotics in her, but we keep that milk separate. In no way can it go into the tank, because all milk that leaves this farm is antibiotic free. So we'll milk her in this pail as long as there's antibiotics in her system. And then we test her individually to make sure that the antibiotics are gone. And then before the milkman comes or the milk truck comes and picks up that tank of milk from
from those milkings, we test it again. We test the whole tank to make sure it does it. And then when that truck gets to the processing plant, before he can unload, they test that milk to make sure there's no antibiotics in there. So when you hear of antibiotic-free milk, all milk out there that is being consumed by consumers or by you guys, all milk is antibiotic-free. It cannot have antibiotics in it. And that goes for any milk, cheese, yogurt, all the good stuff. It's all antibiotic-free. And we take very, very close watch to that. We're very serious with that. And to ensure that if a mistake happens here on the farm, that milk never leaves this farm.
That's great. It sounds like, again, you just take care of those cows just like they're your own kids. So if they need medicine, you have to give it to them. But none of that medicine or antibiotics ever goes into the milk that we drink
No.
at school or on our kitchen table or, things like that.
Right. That's just taking good care of your cows, when they're injured or they got something that we have to treat, we do, but we try not to. It's the last thing we want to do, but we also want to take good care of the cows too.
Right. We've had a lot of questions on the weight of an adult cow.
Okay. So the weight of an adult cow, ours will average about 1,250 pounds. We have our biggest cows probably weigh around 1,500 or 1,500, down to the little crossbreeds will average about 950 pounds. So, of course, Jersey breeds are smaller. These are the biggest.
Wow, that's a lot. They're big animals.
When they stand out there and they're eating, that's how they can eat 100 pounds of feed a day.
That makes sense then.
Big tons.
I think we're going to transition now to the tank room. So again, let's explain what a tank room is and show it. And I think there's a video that's going to come on. If you could just explain what's going on in that video and things like that.
Perfect timing. Our milk hauler is backing in off the road.
Oh, great.
Our tank of milk this morning. So we'll get to watch him here in a little bit. So these are our bulk tanks that you're watching right now in the video. This is where all the milk goes, and it cools. Actually, before it reaches the tank, it goes through a plate cooler. It has tubes in there that cold water runs around the milk to cool it down really fast. And then it's dumped into the tank that also has coolers in there that cool it down. We try to get our milk down as fast as we can, down to about 36, 37 degrees. The reason we do that is the milk's coming out of the cow at about 100 to 101 degrees, because that's what an adult cow's normal temperature is. It's a little bit warmer than a human, but that's their average temperature. So it's coming out very hot. And if we don't get it cooled down, bacteria will start growing, and all the bad bugs will thrive and grow in that. So the faster we can get it cooled down, the more nutritious, better the milk quality.
So you said that you have a truck on the farm. I think we can see that now. Can you tell us about what this truck is doing at your farm and maybe how often this truck comes to your farm?
We get 2 trucks in. There was one here early this morning and picked up 1 tank of milk. And then this one here comes back about this time every day and gets our other tank. Which he's gonna, our milk hauler is gonna love me because he knows nothing about this. So, but yeah, he'll be getting out here in a minute, and he'll get the hose ran into the tank room from his truck, and he'll get it all hooked up, and then he'll turn his pump on, and it'll suck the milk out of the tank onto his truck. And his truck is insulated. and it'll help keep it cool. The plant that it's going to is about 30 miles from here. And this is Jerry, everybody.
Hi, Jerry.
I don't know if you can see that little blue seal that was on the back of the truck. When he gets loaded, and just for quality assurance that nothing happens to that milk, they'll put that tag on the door. It's just another step to make sure that the milk stays safe and it doesn't get contaminated or anything happen to it.
And you said, I think you were cutting out just a little bit, I think because of the wind, but that after the milk gets picked up from your farm, it goes to different processing plants where they can take it to put either the milk in the gallons or take it and to make it into some of our favorite dairy products like ice cream, maybe yogurt, cheese. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It most of our milk goes to a plant where they bottle it. Like I said, some of our milk goes there, and the cream is separated off to go into to help make butter.
How much milk does he pick up per time he comes then? We have some questions about that.
So today, this truck right here is getting ready to take our big tank, which has about 30,000 pounds in it. So
Wow.
a gallon of milk, I'll give you all some math homework. A gallon of milk weighs a little over 8 pounds. So if you take 30,000 pounds, at 8 pounds per gallon, you can do the math and see how many gallons that he's getting ready to pick up just on this one stop.
Wow, that's a lot of milk. Now, we had another question. Do you add anything to the milk?
No. We are watched for, we can't add any water. If you think that we add water here on the farm, we can't. They test when our milk gets to the plant. The only thing that he's picking up is what came out of the cow. It's just pure straight milk.
Pure milk. Okay. So we're approaching kind of the last 5 minutes of our tour. So I was wondering if we could we're getting a lot of questions in. So if we could just do like a rapid fire question session. Okay. Kimberly wants to know, do each cow, do they have different spots? Are they just all look the same?
So it's neat. Some cows will only come in the first stall in the barn. They pick their sides. They'll only want to be milked on the one side, and some cows don't care. Some cows will come in whenever. Some cows have to be at the first of milking. It's just their personality, as we all have our each own personality. So does a cow.
Great. Miss Oswald's class wants to know how long it takes for a heifer calf to get up to breeding age.
So when a baby heifer is born, 2 months in the huts, and then the rest of the time growing, we breed that heifer around 13 months of age, because we try to get them to calve in right around 2 years, give or take. Some of it will depend on her size and how she's growing, but usually breed them right around 13 months.
Okay. Miss Gravitt wants to know if you personally make any ice cream with milk.
Yes, we drink the milk straight out of the tank. We'll come and get a pitcher, take it up to the fridge. We have, for fun with the kids, we've made butter here for ourselves. We've made yogurt a time or two, but we make cheese for ourselves. But we do drink it raw, straight out of the tank. But let me finish with that. The reason why you guys don't is we live here on this farm, so we breathe the dust and the stuff in the air, the germs, the bugs. So our bodies are used to those germs that could be in that milk, and that's why that milk leaves here and it goes to a processing plant and they pasteurize it. I'm sure you all heard of milk being pasteurized. it kills all those bugs, so it's healthy and safe for you all to drink that are not exposed to the bugs and stuff. And I wouldn't want to drink milk from another farm. I only will drink the raw milk from my farm here because we're used to it, and it's safe for us to drink.
Right. So we, as consumers, and even the milk in our schools is all pasteurized that we are drinking to make sure that it's safe for everyone in the consumption. So we are down to the last 2 minutes, which I cannot believe it. It's went so fast. I just have a question for both of you, Mark and Jonna. What's your favorite thing about dairy farming, and maybe what's your favorite dairy product?
My favorite thing is getting up in the morning, going out and just seeing the cows laying out in the field, getting them in, and just seeing them. I love the cows. They've treated me. It's all I've known. I was born and raised on this farm. I've been around cows since I was a baby. Every day I'm in contact with them. And just like this morning, going out there in the field, seeing that new little baby standing out there. Its mom licking on it. I don't know. It's just something I love to see every day. And my favorite product would be yogurt. I love to eat yogurt.
I love the yogurt too, but I don't know. Ice cream might be one of my favorites. Unfortunately, I think we're out of time. But Mark and Jonna, thank you so much for taking us on a tour of your dairy farm today. I know that I learned a lot, and I hope that our viewers and participants learned a lot too from Fellwock Dairy. So I just, on behalf of Midwest Dairy, want to give another huge thank you to our partners that helped make this tour possible. The Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, Missouri Farmers Care, Missouri Ag in the Classroom, University of Missouri Extension, and Discover Dairy. And again, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.